We're going to begin with basic note values, and we're going to understand what a measure or a bar is, and we're going to start with what they call 4/4 counting, or 4/4 time signature would be the best or better terminology. Now this means we simply got 4 beats in a bar, so that means we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. So we're counting to 4 and then repeat. Every repeat is referred to as a measure or bar. Now we're going to write this normally like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, this is your 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So even though there are 8 subdivisions here, there are still 4 beats. First beat, second beat, third beat, 4 beats. And now let's look at the note values. Now, if you're into classical, you've got a bit of piano training or any other instrument, you're probably familiar with terms like crotchets and quavers and breves. We're going to refer more with the numerical sort of interpretation. So we're not going to call crotchets, we're going to call them quarter notes. So we're going to deal with eighth notes, quarter notes, half notes. Now, if you want a note to ring for the entire duration of the count, you'd need a whole note, which is simply just that. So that is referred to as a whole note. In other words, a whole note is going to last for the entire duration of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that, whole way through. Now, if you want to have the note only ring for half, you look for a half note, which is basically the circle with a stem going off it, and that's a half note. And just for those that have come across the reverse, you can also get the note go down like that as well. There's a reason for that. I'm not going to go into that now. We want to get the values. And it's a half note, so it's half as long. So we only wanted to go for 1 and 2 and. So half note, 1 and 2 and. It's basic maths. It's basic fractions. So as long as you think of basic fractions, you're sort of safe and in the zone for understanding note values. So if I wanted to have a half note inside here, I could have the half note and it would hold or ring up until there. In other words, halfway through. And the next note would then start here, and then that would ring the whole way through there. So if I were to count it, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, my rhythm would be like that. Now we want to go and divide a half in half. Okay, that becomes a quarter for those that are into the maths. Quarter note. And if you think about it, half of a half is a quarter, and basically first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We got that, okay? And if you go back to the original beats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, you got 4 beats. That's what the top 4 is telling us. There's 4 beats, and each beat is a quarter. So it's basically fractions all over, and I'm going to keep saying fractions until you're 101% never ever going to forget that. 4 beats, each is a quarter long. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And with that in mind, 1 and would be a quarter. So if I put a quarter value to this, he books the 1 and on the 2, your next quarter will start. Remember, that symbol represents quarter. That would run to the next quarter. If some of my notes are bigger than others, it's because I draw badly, no other reason. And then your fourth quarter would start on the 4th beat like that. Okay, so you got 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they quarters. Okay, quarters got an R in it, excuse my spelling. Quarters, so you got 4, 4 quarters. Okay, now we want to split the quarters in half. Okay, so if you divide a quarter, or you split a quarter in half rather, you end up with that note, and that note is called an eighth note. Okay, now at the top of my head, I don't want to embarrass myself by trying to spell eighth, so we're doing the number version. Okay, and that is just simply 1. And if you look at this over here again, I'm going to put it in a different color, so we're going to get a green pen out here. If I divide this up, I'd have 1, 2, now see the pen word, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divisions. Hey, there's the number 8. Okay, so this mathematically must resolve itself. Okay, you've got 8 subdivisions. Okay, 8 notes, there you go, and 2 eighth notes equal a quarter. You've got 4 quarters, so 2 times 4 gives you 8. 8, there's your 8 division, divide that up there. We're back to where we started. I hope you got that so far. Now, if you were to write this down, you'd end up with something like this. You put it like that, little tail on it. And you'll notice at the end of the day, this gets really sort of cluttered. It's sort of difficult to find the beats inside. It's difficult to find those 4 beats, the 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm just looking at that row of, don't forget the tail over there. If I look at this row of 8 notes, it's very confusing to find the beats. And like I said, they're meant to be the same size. Just apologies for my handwriting. So what they do is they say, well, no, that's not acceptable. We don't want that. So what they do is they take this and they tie them together or join them like that. So it's easier to see the 8th note in 4 beats. And you still got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes, but you can see now first beat, second beat, third beat, fourth beat. Okay, and we got it like that. So you're still counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but now I'm tapping out 8 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but they don't want us counting like that. They want us to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay. So mathematical revision quickly. We're going to grab a guitar. We're going to show you what we've written so you can hear and see the note values. There's the guitar we're going to play on. Okay, just to show that I'm not singing these notes because I can't sing. Okay, starting with a whole note over here. It would ring for the whole bar. So if I pluck the note, it rings for the whole bar. So if I was counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and silence, then I've let the note ring for the whole bar. You cool with that? If I did 2 half notes, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, because I'd have to have 2, because 2 halves equal a whole. If I did quarter notes, I'm looking at now, quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 quarters, 4 over 4, we've been there before. I'd have this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then lastly, if I go to the very last one, I'd have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can actually see the string vibrate as you pick it in the video corner as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Now just to sort of break down the note values before we look at a piece or an exercise from a song to see how we can understand the rhythm written there. Let's say I had notes that looked like this. So I've got 4, 4 again. Just make sure I got that as a reference. And I've got this note, and I've got 2 of those notes, and then I've got that note, okay, and that's my bar. So I sit and say to myself, well, what's my rhythm? I want to know what I play. Is it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4? What is the timing? Were any of those tappings correct, for example? So I ask myself, let me count. So I'm going to use a green pen to stand out there. This note value is a quarter. We're cool with that. So if it's a quarter books, remember, a quarter books 1 and, because that's an eighth, that's an eighth, that's an eighth, 8 eighths, as we proved there. So that quarter books 2 of those. So 1 and is booked by him. You're cool with that. Then you've got 2 notes that look a lot like that. And those are 8th notes. So that means if that's an eighth and that's an eighth, 2 and. So each of these are sort of booking their own count, if you want to call it that. The last note, this one over here, here's a half note. And a half note means half the bar, 3 and 4 and. So that means I'm going to have this. So my rhythm, if I were to tap it, slow motion, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or if I play the guitar, I could have something like this. Bring the guitar back. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We got that. Let's do one more example. Okay. We're going to write down this rhythm, for example. We're going to go, we'll start with that again. And we'll do another one of those. And then we'll do 8th note there and an 8th note there. Quarter means 1 and another quarter, that's the first quarter, second quarter, 2 and, 3 and, because the eighth notes, and we finish off with that. So that's a really easy one. Okay. Now, just to quickly recap, so I just want to go back into reminder mode just to make sure we don't forget this, because this is very, very important. If you've got your basics for countings, you cannot go wrong. The whole trick on understanding your basic 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, remember 16th notes we'll get to at a later stage. You're working with 8th notes. If you've got 8th notes, 16th notes aren't that difficult to understand. Back to 8th notes. Even though there's 4 beats, we still have 8 subdivisions. So there's your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth subdivision, as we explained there, if you go back in the video. And although there's 8 subdivisions, you still got 4 beats. So that means for every beat, you got 2 counts, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that will give us our 8. And that's what's happening over here. Okay, I hope you understand that. Now in the second video, we're going to explain rests. So a rest is when you got silence, and that we'll look at in video number 2. Okay, now what I've got over here is Lonely Boy, which is a study that we're going to be doing for one of the grade 2s. And we need to understand what is the timing for this, so we know what to do with it. Okay, we're not worried about the tab, we're worried about that. There's that 4/4 we were talking about earlier. We're cool with that. Those note values are 1 and, 2 and, because they're all 8th notes, so I could actually put it in like that. You cool with this? So that means he starts on the 3rd beat, but he is a quarter note, so that means he has to have 2 counts. That quarter there's for the string bend, don't worry about it. And then you got the same over there for 2 8th notes. Okay. These lads we're going to look into on the next video. Those are what they call rests. Okay, those little notes there. That means you don't do anything. You create silence for that pause. But first of all, you got your note values. Are you okay with that? If you got any questions before the next video, please drop me a WhatsApp. It's very, very important to understand the concept of quarters. In other words, your time signature, you must understand that it's 4 quarter values. 4 beats, each beat has got a value. We need to understand the 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to understand that even though there's 8 subdivisions, there's still only 4 beats. We have to understand the fraction, it's the whole bar or half the bar or the quarter bar or each independent 8th note. I hope you're cool with that. Have an awesome day.